Hey, y'all, welcome. Listen, today's message is if you have been feeling like you got to get someone else's opinion, a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth opinion. Some of y'all need no, no second, third, or fourth opinions. But for many of us, we can get stuck feeling like we can't go forward because we're waiting for someone else's yes. So if you can relate to that, that's what I'm talking about today. If you want to read along with me, go grab Psalm 55. We're going to jump into this message. So you got just a second. And when I come back, I'm going to be talking to you about today's message. Before I do that, so don't forget, subscribe here on this channel. If you just love words of encouragement, if you are a prayer warrior like me, pray with me, that we can just reach those that need encouragement and to be uplifted and just to draw closer to God, to have relationships for ourselves, like Matthew 6:33 reminds us, and so many other scriptures throughout. So I'm going to read Psalm 55. I'll be right back. And when I come back, we're going to get into this message. All right, welcome back. So I think I'm going to just share a little bit about my own experience with this. But before I do that, I'm going to read Psalm 55. So Psalm 55, verse 22, this one's straight to the point. Cast your burden upon the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. Cast your burden upon the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. Now, on this channel, y'all know I feel like I've shared a lot for the private person that I am. But I remember several times when was in situations that I had no idea how it would work out. There were times where I literally just was faced with an obstacle that felt like there was no way of getting around it. And if you've ever been in that place, all the motivation, all the inspiration, encouragement, all that, it's nothing. It doesn't mean a thing when you are down, when you are feeling like that's fine. Like, I thank y'all for believing that, abundance is on the way. But right now I'm in a tough spot and I don't see it for myself. So there was a time, several times I can think of, but there was a time where I was just every day there was something different happening where I did not know how things were going to come together. And I remember a time in particular. This was when my children were young. I was living at this place that I did not want to be living at. And there was a bug going around, like a stomach bug. It had nothing on COVID, but because it's not now. I just want to make it clear the thing that was going around. But I just remember everyone in my family was getting sick, and then I got it. And it was so bad, like the emergency room was full. And I remember I could not keep anything down. And I was just, it just felt like I had to flip a coin over what was most important at that time. I had meetings coming up. I was a leader in a nonprofit organization. I just had all these things coming at me. And I felt like there was nowhere to turn. And I remember going through that moment to the point, y'all, I remember I'd lost a job that I had. The stomach bug had gone around. It was just like so much. People were talking about me. It was just a lot going on in that time frame. I still remember this. And I remember getting to my apartment and I'm like crawling on the ground. I couldn't stand up. I was in so much like pain. Like I said, couldn't keep anything down. And I look up with the little last bit of energy I had, and there was an eviction notice. An eviction notice. I can laugh now. It's not funny at the time, but there was an eviction notice on my door. But I had so many other things that felt even more urgent than being evicted. Like, I was like, I don't even know if I'm gonna make it till tomorrow with this stomach bug. Like, I feel horrible and just so much coming on every side. And I remember that there were certain scriptures at that time I just would recite. And we're always reminded faith comes by hearing, hearing by the word of God. Now, I feel like that was kind of a long story. Y'all let me know in the comments if I stretch that one out to make a short story long, right? But there was one that I've never seen the righteous forsaken nor his seed begging bread. I would stand on that, y'all. I would be like, you know what, God, according to your word, I've never seen the righteous forsaken or his seed begging bread. Lord, I need you to do this. I can't. And there's no other person that has the ability. And I'm sharing this because so many times we can look to people, we can get disappointed in people, and people let us down, or ourselves. We get so frustrated. But this verse today reminds us, Psalm 55, cast your cares, cast your burden upon the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. And in that moment when I was just like the eviction notice was the last straw. I actually ended up not getting evicted, thank God. I don't even remember exactly how everything unfolded after that, but I remember all I had at that moment was my faith to stand on. And I don't like and the fact that I can't even remember everything from that moment lets me know how God had to show up and show out in that situation, because I remember like getting through it. And I do remember this because it was like a week later. There was another, I actually had a reminder of this event now. A week later, a week or so later, there was an event coming up and so many other things were happening. And I remember that following week, nothing looked like what I had been through the week prior. Everything looked like it was about to fall apart. Everything looked like it was not going to come together. I remember being so just overwhelmed. And then I started praying. I released it to God. And when I tell you that next week, nothing reflected what I had just gone through. One thing, there was a couple of things. I remember I was hosting a show the next week, like opportunities start coming. It was like, because I was just so close. Now, that wasn't the purpose of this message, but I do want to just encourage y'all with this. Sometimes when the chaos starts coming, or people start talking about you, or frustration comes, or whatever comes to deter you, it's usually when we're right there. We're so close. We're so close to that next point. We're so close to really, this time I'm going after it. This time I'm not turning around. And I think about the children of Israel, how many times they circled that mountain. Some of us, we're right there on the brink of the biggest breakthrough that's coming up in this season. And everything will come against you to test you, but it's not just testing you, it's to make you stronger. Because when I went through that moment and the stomach bug and the eviction notice, I remember that by the time the eviction notice came, I was just like, I can't even stand up. I do remember this where I was like, I ain't even got time to deal with this right now. I can't stand up. Like, I can't stand up. I can't eat. It's too much going on. God, I just I have to lean on you for this. And that should be our everyday stature, though, not just when things go wrong or when things are great, like everyday stature, to cast our burdens on the Lord, because he sustains us. He will sustain us. And so the reason I was sharing this is because, again, a lot of times we can look to broken people. We're all people. We're human. We're but dust. And we can look to other humans for advice or for guidance or for they got to have all the answers, when literally that's great to get an extra word of encouragement. It's great to have someone else that you can relate to. Don't get me wrong. Like, we're all here in this journey together. So that's awesome. That's amazing. But at the end of the day, when you know who your source is, then you can properly put resources in the right perspective. And I see too many people fall away from their walk with God, and too many people fall away, period, because they were relying on a person to sustain them. They were relying on a person to carry their burdens. They were relying on a person to handle everything, when Psalm 55:22 reminds us that God is there for us. And so I just want to encourage you with this word today to cast your burdens, cast your cares on the Lord. Get into the word for yourself. Get into prayer for yourself. You don't need a middleman. You don't have to rely on anyone else to build your walk with God. Yes, accountability is great. Yes, leadership is awesome. Yes, getting into a body of believers and fellowshipping and all of those things are amazing. But none of it trumps God. None of it is more important than you having that personal relationship and walk for yourself. So I just wanted to encourage y'all with this word today. If it encouraged you, tell someone, tag someone. If you are looking for daily inspiration and encouragement, connect with me across social media at Erica Empowers. But before you do that, get into the word for yourself. Kickstart your day in the word and prayer for yourself. And then connect with me across social media at Erica Empowers. Tell someone, tag someone. And if you are looking as an entrepreneur, visionary, speaker, author, for resources to start getting your message out and turning your message into a movement, you can go to amplifyherlounge.com. And that's just a great place where it's just so many people that have come together, women from around the world, to encourage one another, to support one another, to uplift each other towards our goals and vision and all of that. So you can check that out down there, amplifyherlounge.com, amplifyher.group. But that is it. That's my message for you all today. I hope that this encouraged you, and I hope that you're ready to run and cast your burdens in the right place. Y'all take care.